What's going on, y'all? You're back. I'm your host, Paco, and you're listening to Occupy the Media. I want to thank you if you're tuning in. I definitely appreciate it. Don't forget that you can join us in the chat room over at ronpaulradio.com. Click on Listen Live, and the chat room should come up. Also, you can check me on ronpaultribune.com. Just click on the voice chat room, and you should catch me there. Okay, so what's going on here? Oh, quickly, I just want to say that Ron Paul is also listener-supported. We need your help to stay on the air and fight the mainstream media blackout. Go to ronpaulradio.com and donate via the chip-in on the right-hand side of the page. Remember, every donation of $20 or more gets a free blimp courtesy of our sponsors at ronpaulblimps.com. Okay, so in case you guys missed it, today we've been jumped on a couple of headlines, played a clip from Ron Paul talking about we need paper ballots for voting. If you guys missed the headlines, we were going over South Dakota had a Liberty bomb, a money bomb last weekend. I would say still give if you can. Paul supporters robbed at county convention in Georgia, win some justice against establishment GOP. That's at the Brad blog. Also at the Brad blog, GOP in California hired professional con artists who turned in thousands of fraudulent voter registrations. So yes, the Republicans, the Democrats, they all cheat when it comes to voting and voting registration. Okay, this at newser.com. Romney to clinch the nomination today. Washington Post, Mitt Romney to officially clinch the GOP nomination today, or Tuesday. So you guys can check that out at the Washington Post. And then before the break, we played Giuliani downplays old claim that his record on jobs is better than Romney's. So, you know, we can just take all the old quotes from Romney's endorsers and we can beat him with that. And that's what Obama is going to do or would do if Romney's a nominee. And that's why it's a joke that Republicans are really trying to put this guy up against him. A straight up joke. Okay, I came across this headline, you guys. Ron Paul, a fade or revolutionary. This is at the Washington Times Communities. And who is this written by? This is Shirley Husar, I think. Anyways, let's see. Ron Paul's race in particular stands out. The libertarian turned Republican attracted many new voters with his plain-spoken air and his libertarianism made easy campaign. His message of governmental honesty and simplicity seemed to resonate with Americans who feel betrayed by their leaders. But do his followers have the attention span to create a movement with staying power? Does Paul's vision of libertarian republicanism penetrate deeply enough into the collective psyche of his followers to get them to stay in the party and fight for the long term? Is this the beginning of the end of good old boy Republican politics? Hardly. The truth is that the Texas congressman and his motley crew of disciples are a fade, the political equivalent of Cabbage Patch Kids. The Ron Paul movement is fundamentally flawed because it implies that the only way the real change can come is via the presidency. Now, who said that? When does Ron Paul ever say, or the Ron Paul movement implied that the only way we can have change is through the presidency? This is what I'm talking about. It's such blatant lies. So blatant lie. The values that Ron Paul has espoused could have a huge impact local and state governments, and the urban community and inner city could benefit from the congressman's ideas. However, the movement seems to depend on the excitement generated by the presidential campaign. Its adherents unwillingly to look lower where reformers could make a difference. The president has little effect on local government. If the Ron Paul people, the blue Republicans, could grasp this matter, then real reform could be realized. What world are you living in, Shirley? What world are you on? What the hell are you talking about? We're not changing it locally? Look at the conventions. Committee man, committee woman, chairman in some states. What are these people talking about? This is what I'm saying. The media just gets to come out, write, say, do anything they want. And it's just blatant lies. Blatant. But we're the nut jobs. We're the crazies. What else? In a time when leadership has forgotten about the people of America and their needs, Ron Paul's followers had a chance to become new leaders. By putting all their eggs in one basket, though, they've made of his movement a fade. It will end in November, and the revolution will be a feel-good memory reminiscence of a protracted political Woodstock. You guys hear that? The revolution is going to be in the past. Nothing to move forward, according to her. Without a motivational strategy that consistently stresses fundamental values of good government at the local level, Paul's movement is a failure. It is a failure because Paul's supporters will quit after the presidential race. Let me understand something, Shirley. Did we quit after the 2008 presidential race? Did we quit after the media blackout? Did we quit after supposedly Ron Paul was being called a racist? Did we quit after any of that? Did we quit when you guys said we didn't have a chance when we only made up about 10% of the party? You know, it's writers like this that need to be fired. You know, have no integrity at all. When Ron Paul is president, people like this won't stand a chance in the media. People will see through this so easily. But see, the average person who doesn't know about Ron Paul or the Ron Paul movement or keeping up with politics or keeping up with the race, they'll read something like this and buy into it. What else? Without a motivational strategy that consistently stresses fundamental values of good government at the local level, Paul's movement is a failure. Okay, we just talked about that. Equally important, will they support Mitt Romney if he wins the nomination? If they don't, they won't stay in the Republican Party, and the odds of getting a third party off the ground are remote. Paul and Romney both want smaller government. They both want lower taxes. They both triumph the responsibility of the individual. They both favor the free market, and they both want President Obama out of office. Where are the Palestinians? With their man, are nowhere. With their man out of the race, they will vanish as a political force. Okay, Shirley, you're retarded. You're straight up retarded. First of all, we're not the ones worried about being out of the Republican Party. We're taking over or taking back the Republican Party. Okay? Romney got to have a shadow party created in Nevada because they can't even raise money or get support for him from the Republican Party. So what are you talking about? This stuff she's saying is so false. It's already false. We don't even got to wait to see if it's false. And you mean to tell me Mitt Romney favors the free market? Really? The guy that says he's not going to look at the Federal Reserve at all? The guy that said Ben Bernanke's doing a good job? He believes in a free market? And they both want President Obama out of office? No, they don't, because if they did, Mitt Romney wouldn't be running because he can't win. Okay? So we're supposed to vote for Mitt Romney? What else did they say? They both want smaller government? Mitt Romney was a Democrat. He wrote Obamacare. How can anybody sit here and say he wants smaller government? He's for NDAA. They both want lower taxes. Boo-hoo. I'm tired of all that talk. If you ain't talking about the Fed, you owe me nothing to me. All that lower taxes talk means nothing. They both triumph the responsibility of the individual. Have they both been an example of that? Huh, Shirley? Have they been an example? No, they haven't. This is why idiots expect people to vote for Mitt Romney, but they can't draw the conclusion that there's a complete, there's a complete difference between the two. There's no way somebody who supports Romney could vote for Ron Paul or vice versa, unless they change their ideas. If Paul supporters will only look beyond Paul to candidates at the grassroots level, they will see plenty of people who could nurture his ideas in local governments to build for decades to come. For example, Donna Lowe is running for state assembly office in California's new 41st district. Taking a page from Paul's book on small government, she believes the size of the federal government must be decreased substantially. She believes in Paulian fashion that the local government needs to create conditions to bring manufacturing jobs back to California, and that it is in local cities and governments that must correct California's failures. She despises increased spending, abhors higher taxes, and loathes not holding governments responsible and accountable for their shortfalls. If Paul supporters threw their might and resources towards Lowe and candidates like her, then true reform could come to local government, to California, and to the Republican Party. Well, hold on. If we're not a political force to be reckoning with, Shirley, or we're not a real force at all, why does anybody need our support to win a nomination or to be a force behind the Republican Party if we're just a small faction, if we're not a big deal? This is what they always say. Oh, if Ron Paul got out, we can get this over with. Well, what do you mean if Ron Paul got out? I thought he wasn't a big issue. I thought he wasn't a big problem. I thought he was only 10%. See, 1 minute they show their true colors at all times, man. If the Ron Paul movement is not a fade, then the rubber must meet the road for the Palestinians. The constitutional champions must rise at the bell and slug it out in the ring for those who seek to destroy the Constitution. They must register themselves and others to vote and fight for local candidates, not just Paul. They social network for Paul, but they must promote other candidates who share his ideas. Have you mentioned one Ron Paul candidate in this article, Shirley? One. No, you haven't. All the ones that are running, you haven't named any. Anyways, we'll be back in the next hour, you guys. I'm your host, Paco. You're listening to Occupy the Media. Stay tuned.